The moment has finally arrived as part of my favorite palettes of the year. In previous videos, we looked at palettes 55 to 40 and 40 to 20, and today we are up to the top 20. And I'm excited because all of these palettes, in fact, all 55 for the most part, are beautiful palettes because I buy them myself. I don't receive PR, so I don't tend to buy things that I wouldn't like. But these are kind of, the top, the creme de la creme. So I'm excited to share those with you today. As I said in a previous video, I'm not including like singles or reissues. There were some beautiful singles and reissues this year. The liquid shadows from Chantecaille and Lisa Eldridge and Armani, and gosh, the Danessa Myricks Colors Fix sticks and reissues of the Isamaya palettes. Those are all beautiful, but I'm just looking at things that came out this year. So I would encourage you to look at the past videos, but now we're going to move on to the top 20. And like I've said before, I'll combine them all into one long video for those of you who are glutton for punishment during the holidays. But if you like this kind of content, then please consider liking, subscribing, following along, shopping my links, and sharing me with other people who might like this kind of content. Okay, so let's begin, shall we? I've got my wet wipes. I've got my makeup remover. Let's see. So we'll start at number 20. And number 20 is my favorite palette that came out this year from Natasha Denona. Now, normally Natasha Denona has some of my favorite palettes of the year. I'm going to pull you up just a little bit. There we go. But this year, her MIDI palettes were good, but they weren't anything that really, brought me a lot of joy, like Zendo or Xenon or anything like that, My Dream. They were very monochromatic. The one palette that she came out with this year that I really loved is number 20, and it's the Mini Gloom palette. I love this kind of gloomy, rainy fall vibe, very 90s. I'm very hopeful that she comes out with a palette, a MIDI size palette of this next year, because I think it would do really, really well. They're just really unique colors that you don't see a lot. It's very cool toned, but it's got a touch of pink you see up there at the top, and then that beautiful kind of bottle green there. It's just a really beautiful palette, and so I'm hoping that we get a MIDI size palette of this that expands on this year and brings us some color, because that's what I love so much about Natasha Denona. Okay. So now we go on to number 19, which is not here. I'm gonna have to grab it. I'll be right back. Okay, so number 19 really surprised me because when this line came out, I thought this would be my least favorite. And because we've seen this kind of color story before, but this one really surprised me. It's really beautiful, and it is from Louis Vuitton, and it is the Dazzling Gaze quad. Dazzling Gaze. That sounds like it could go in a different direction, but it's just really beautiful. Have we seen pink in color stories before? Absolutely. But what I really like about this one is that it's just a little bit different. Everything's just slightly different. There's kind of a beautiful rose tone in it. It's got a really pretty duochrome pink, which is very popular in the Pat McGrath line. She has a lot of those like duochrome pink to golds. But in this formula, it's just really beautiful to have that. You can kind of see that duochromy one second from the bottom there. This was a really pleasant surprise for me because I was just like, oh, that's the pink one. I won't be that interested in that. Laundry's letting us know it's done, but it actually did really surprise me, and I really like this color story, and they did a beautiful job. It's doing the Yankee Doodle shit again. I really like this. So this is number 19, Dazzling Gaze. First entry from Lisa Eldridge. She did not come out with a ton of palettes this year, but the ones that she came out with were really beautiful, and they ended up in the top 20, which should tell you about the quality and the curation of the color story of Lisa Eldridge eyeshadows. And the first one that we have at number 18 is the Betty palette. This came out earlier this spring. And it's just a beautiful curation of metallics and duochromes and multichromes. It's kind of giving like mermaid vibes. And typically I like a palette that has mattes in it, but there are times where I can, admit that a palette doesn't necessarily need them. And in this case, this palette has this shade down here, which although metallic, blends out really smoothly and I'm going to try to do it on the back of my hand here. And when blended out, a lot of that shine, as you see towards the bottom, kind of goes away, and you're just left with this beautiful kind of silvery brown color. That's just a gorgeous color. But what makes this palette shine, of course, are these duochromes and beautiful metallics like these three. This one is really special. I'll just put these on the back of my hand here so you can see. But just really cool, a really nice entry from Lisa Eldridge. She tends to have sort of more curated color stories that are, all pink, all purple, all whatever per palette. But this one gives you a lot of variety. In fact, even this one is a very different color than what's included in the rest. Put it up there on the top. So you're getting something that's really unique and really interesting. And that's why I have Betty as number 18 on my list. Number 17 is another quad from Louis Vuitton Le Boutet by Pat McGrath. I love saying that because it's pompous and it kind of also just rolls off the tongue. So this is the Cosmic Dreams quad. I think this one's very popular because it's often sold out, but it is the purple quad. Just really unique. It's not an over-the-top purple like a lot of what was that Natasha Denona purple palette, Roxa, that came out last year, where it was just really bold purples. These are more mild and in that beautiful Louis Vuitton formula that's really lovely to build up. But as you see there, they're all kind of gray based and a little bit you obviously can build them up really nicely, but they're a little more subdued, and I really like the formula. And this is a beautiful quad from Louis Vuitton. I really like all the Louis Vuitton quads. And of course, I think you can get a lot of depth with this one, but you can also go really light if you just lay in heavy on this kind of slightly purpley white duochrome. So that's a palette that I really do like, and that's Cosmic Dreams from Louis Vuitton. So next on my list, and it looks like this would be number 16, is the last of the three Halo quads that came out from Prada Beauty this year. This is the Primula quad, and I'm showing it to you in the refill, but obviously I have some of those Prada, you know what the component looks like, but I just keep these in the refills. And this one is really the best one in my opinion. It's the darkest one, but it gives you a lot of depth. There's some variation in color, and it has this really beautiful sort of halo. They call it a halo shade. I would call it, I guess it's a duochrome, maybe a triochrome, but it has this beautiful shift in it from purple to vermilion. There's a little bit of green. I'm going to re-swatch that because it ran off the side of my hand. See, when you try to swatch too fast, that's when you get problems. Okay, so as you can see, that top color is just really cool. And then it has these three warm kind of Santa Fe colors on the bottom. I really like this. The only thing I do wish is that maybe one of the colors would have been lighter to use as an inner eye color, because I can't use any of these really. But it's a beautiful quad. I think it's meant more for darker skin tones, but I really love this color and I can make this work. I just have to reach into something else to get something light for the inner corner, but really beautiful from Prada. And I'm excited to see what they have coming forward, including concealer, which is coming in January. Okay. At number 15, I have the fourth of the 4 new palettes that released this year from Adept Cosmetics. Now, I mentioned that the Seahorse palette was reissued, but they said there were very few changes with that one, and I already had the original, so I didn't pick that up. But the one reissue that they did have this year was more of a reimagining, and it's because they changed a good number of the colors and the formulas. And so I did pick this up, and I can promise you this is probably Patty Alonso's favorite palette of the year. If we're doing bets, at least top 3. And it came out in January, and she called that in January. And that's because it's so beautiful. And it is the Minka Redux or Reimagined palette. So beautiful. This like wintry, purpley color story. I really loved the original Minka, but the mattes, you know, were patchy at times. Adept has figured out their matte issue, and this is a really beautiful palette with beautiful mattes. The one thing I will say is the mattes are lovely, but what you come to see, of course, is the duo in multi-chromes, and look at that. I mean, that one in particular, that's called Joshua. These are really stunning. Here's 4 of them right here. Adept has been killing it this year, and their matte formula really is beautiful, and they really have taken it to the next level. And this, I think, is their star of the year. Just really beautiful, really stunning, very shifty. I could show you 5 more shades and they would all be just as shifty and just as beautiful. Really love this palette, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how Adept continues to grow and diversify. And again, this is the Minka Reimagined, and it's at number 15. So at number 14, I have the first palette release from Chanel of 2025. Now, they did come out with a palette that you could use on your eyes, but it was mostly a highlighter palette, one of those jumbo palettes. And I did like that, but it's mostly highlighters. You can't really get, an interesting eyeshadow look on its own from it. It's so light. The first true quad they came out with this year is stunning, and it is the Utopia quad. This was from the Camellia collection that came out in the spring. This is just really beautiful. It was really unique because it contained a multi-chrome from Chanel. Of course, it's tamer than other multi-chromes from other companies because it is Chanel. But at the time, we thought, well, this is really unique and interesting. What we didn't know is that we would be getting these kind of multi-chrome shades from Chanel, quite a few this year, and done really beautifully. This is a gorgeous quad. I love how cool toned this grayish brown is, and this duochrome shade here. It's just a really special, interesting quad, and I think it sold really well for Chanel. And so I've already seen, I'm sure you have too, what they have coming in the spring, and I'm interested to see, how things progress with them, because I think they've really been hitting it out of the park. You may not like everything they put out, but what they've been putting out has been really pigmented and beautiful and different. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how they continue to mold and change under that new makeup trio of creative directors. So that would be number 14, Utopia from Chanel Beauty. At number 13, we have another quad from Louis Vuitton Le Boutet by Pat McGrath. See, it just rolls off. And this is the quad Sky is the Limit, which I think is one of the most beautiful blue quads of the year. It's really wearable. There are 2 blue quads that came out this year, 2 or 3, that I think are just really beautiful and wearable and can be toned down, but they can also be very dramatic. And this is one of them. This is the Color Story, and it's really beautiful. Again, we've got another one of those cool tone gray browns that are so popular this year. We saw Lisa Eldridge had it, Chanel had it, now Louis Vuitton, and then these 3 really beautiful blues. And yes, that lightest one can be used sparingly on the inner eye, but it gives a beautiful scattered effect over these others. Just a really beautiful wearable but dramatic blue quad. Really loved this one. And so this is Sky is the Limit from Louis Vuitton, and it's at number 13. We're getting close to the top 10. Okay, so I said we're getting close to the top 10, and we really are, because we are at number 12, and it is one of the 4 fall quads or late summer quads that came out from YSL Beauty, and it is the Unexplored Garden quad. Just really beautiful, this kind of khaki color and these deep dark greens. Let me swatch this for you. It also has this really interesting topper shade, which kind of reminds me of a Pat McGrath. Remember in Bronze Seduction, there's a topper shade that's kind of green to gold, really interesting. I can't remember right now off the top of my head what it's called, but I will remember it the minute I'm done with this video. What is that called? Astral. Anyway, this has a shade that's kind of similar to that down here. And then it's got these beautiful, creamy, rich greens, including this really nice metallic green here. And this topper shade can be scattered over any of these. This is a really, really beautiful green quad. And it's a little bit, the other ones like from Victoria Beckham and Louis Vuitton were heavier and deeper. This one you can get a much lighter, more ethereal look with, but you can also get something that's really beautiful too and impactful. And so that's why I have Unexplored Garden, which this thing sold like wildfire, at number 12. VR Fire Opal. I knew it would come to me the minute I hit that button. Okay. And number 11 is another quad from YSL that came out as part of their late summer fall push. And this one is really beautiful. It looks boring, but it's anything but. And it is the Captivating Dunes quad. This YSL has so many brown color story quads, but this I think is the best one. It is just really, really stunning and cool toned, which YSL doesn't have a ton of cool toned shades or quads, but this one is. And it's just really beautiful. It's a neutral, but there's not an ounce of warmth in this quad. And this bottom one here reminds me a lot of Astral Solstice from Pat McGrath, because if you scatter it over any of these, you get that beautiful scattered effect. But this is a really, really stunning quad. And I know that it also sold out really fast from that launch. And I'm sure it's back now. I know Sephora has it because I saw it the other day. But a really beautiful neutral quad that can be very dramatic, but it can also be really great for like work or something like that. So this is Captivating Dunes from YSL. So we are up to the top 10. This seems like it's been a journey, and it probably has. I don't think I've ever talked this much at once, but I will say that for the most part, any of these top 10, they're all stunning. They could be interchanged with each other depending on my mood or my day, but they're all really beautiful quads. And when we get up to the top 5 or so, any one of those could be number 1 depending on the day, because they really are based on color story and based on the different kind of person that would want the different, palettes. But these top 10 are really spectacular, and some of them will go into my all-time favorite palettes, regardless of what year they came out. And so number 10 is the other entry from Lisa Eldridge that came out this year, and this is the Desert Gleam palette. This is really stunning. She wanted to go for like a 70s desert disco theme, and I think she really achieved it with this palette. It's really unique. The color story. Well, first of all, one of the mattes is almost identical to my skin color, so that's really great. But then it's got these beautiful, like holographic kind of 70s shades, and then it's got a really lovely olive and brown in it as well. Now, I know a lot of people online wanted this to be more pigmented, but this is a much more buildable palette. So this is going to be a lighter. Of course, this is obviously a deep dark brown, but this is a much lighter and yet sparkly take on kind of that 70s disco aesthetic. And I think what she was saying was like, think of disco safari or those like 70s photo shoots that are in the safari. And so this Desert Gleam palette, really, really stunning. I'm so excited to see what Lisa Eldridge has coming for next year. So where I said the last one you could get away with subtlety and kind of a more demure look, this one you cannot. It's so dramatic and so smoky and beautiful, but I really do feel like it's my favorite of this particular brand's quads they came out with this year. And they came out with a lot of them, 6 or 7, but it is Victoria Beckham, and it is her Victoria quad. Now, this is a beautiful color that can easily be blended out, but with these 3, you're going with drama all the way. And here is the color story. I mean, it's hard to not get something very smoky and dramatic with this. The one thing I'm going to say is that I wish it had an inner eye color, something kind of creamy and sparkly, but I don't care on this one because it's so beautiful that I can dip into a single from Victoria Beckham, one of her pot shadows. And in fact, this shadow reminds me a lot of her pot shadow in Mink, and that shadow is actually my favorite of her pot shadows. But this quad, very dramatic, very smoky. Every look you're going to get is going to be pretty dramatic, but that's what Victoria Beckham does. And this, I think, is her finest quad so far. And I'm excited to see where she comes moving forward next year with her quads, because the ones she came out with this year have all been pretty dramatic, pretty smoky. I wonder what it would look like if she did some that were kind of based on some of her lighter satin Kajal liners. Because her palettes are all supposed to pair nicely with her satin Kajal liners. And so it'd be interesting to see what like a Seafoam or an Orchid or Jeans or one of those would look like. So that is number 9, Victoria Beckham Beauty, Victoria. Number 8 is from Chanel. And this one really surprised me. Earlier I mentioned that there were a couple of blue quads that came out this year that could be very wearable. And I mentioned the Louis Vuitton one, and I said there was one other one, and it is Nuit Astral from Chanel. This came out for the holiday season. It went very fast as well, but a beautiful, wearable, purpley blue periwinkle kind of color story. You can go very dramatic, you can go very light with it. It's just a really unique color story for Chanel, and their winter collection this year was all about kind of the stars and astral, and it's kind of spacey themed, and this is a winner. And I know it's hard to get, but it would make a great holiday gift. And so that is number, what number are we on? 8. Chanel Nuit Astral. Okay, from here on, any of these quads truly could be number 1 depending on the day. It just depends on the color story, the person, what you're looking for, but any of these 7 I think are really, really spectacular. At number 7 was a surprise to me because although I love this brand's holiday palettes, they're normally of not her highest quality. They're beautiful, don't get me wrong, but they're normally a little bit less refined than some of her others. This one changed that, and it is the Pat McGrath Gilded Nirvana palette. This is gorgeous. I don't want to hear any bitching about the price or the size of this. Is this half the size of what a normal Pat McGrath holiday palette is? Sure. But is the packaging this gorgeous acrylic instead of cardboard? Is every shadow in here performing beautifully and refined and super sparkly? Are there some duochromes in here? Yeah, and that's not common in the later versions of the Pat McGrath holiday collections. And so this is a stunner. And if you still have a gift to get, this is going to work on a lot of people. And the reason I say that is because there are 2 mattes in here. There's this one and this one, which is not a true matte. It's got some little gold sparkles, but they pretty much go away when you blend it out. But then you can create so many unique, interesting looks with this palette. And the pans are small. I get it. I get that there's some, some people wish that they were larger. But at the end of the day, how many times do you actually pan an eyeshadow, especially one that's like a bold or bright color? In this case, these are really bold, unique colors, beautiful formula. But I think you're getting just about the right amount with these, because I don't think you're going to go off and pan them. But the packaging on it is so beautiful, and you can imagine even in its box, this with a bow would make a beautiful gift. You wouldn't even have to wrap because it's so beautiful and well done. Her Italian quint formula, but I think this is even more refined than her quints of past. This is her best holiday palette, at least in the last 3 or 4 years. The first two I really liked. This is definitely up there with those two. The back of that hand is raw, but we are at number 6. Again, interchangeable, they could be, but for me, this one really stood out. This is from that surprise drop that no one saw coming at Christmas, those 9 pans from Chanel. And it is the last of those 3 9 pans on my list, and it is Space Traveler by Chanel. This is so unique. I know somebody described it as if Pat McGrath did Chanel, and that's really true. Like, these feel like baked shades, but they're so pigmented. I mean, look at that for Chanel. It's still really shocking to me that this came out and that these 3 came out for the holidays. And I will say my swatches are getting to not look so great because my hands are looking very, very dry right now. But you can see there, look at the shifty shades there and the amount of pure pigment that's coming off. You can create something really dramatic, something lighter and ethereal, something workplace appropriate because you've got these beautiful mattes over here. You can go very dark because you've got a black and a smoky blue here. I just think this is so good. This could definitely be higher on the list. I just think this is a beautiful gift if it's still available. Yeah, these are expensive, but you can get a lot of beautiful looks out of this. And I love this duochrome shade here. It's the bottom one here, kind of a gold to chartreuse to orangey kind of color. This is just really unique, and I really recommend Space Traveler by Chanel. Okay, so I had this next palette at number 1, and then I had it number 2, and 5, and 4, and 3, and that's the way all of these palettes have been in the top 5, because they are spectacular, and I think any of these, like top 7, 8, could be in my top palettes, my favorites of all time. But this one is really beautiful. Also would make a beautiful gift because the packaging is so stunning. But this is the Adventures palette from Lancome. Lisa Eldridge comes out with one of these palettes every holiday season in collaboration with Lancome. And I struggle with Lancome palettes the rest of the year. They're patchy or there's a lot of fallout. These Lisa Eldridge Lancome palettes do not have that. They have their finest formula. It's really beautiful. It's really beautiful on textured eyelids. And this one has 5 shades. This could be a blush, but it also makes a beautiful base for an eye look. It works well as an inner eye color, but this is such a beautiful quint, I guess you'd call it. And you can get such a really lovely look with it. I'm just gonna swatch some of these for you to see here. Really beautiful. Let me put those on my hand, if my hand will take more swatches, because it's probably done with me now. Really, really beautiful color story. I know this tends to lean a little bit warmer, but I think it's really beautiful. And every time I do a video or anything with this palette, somebody will say, oh my God, that's the Adventures palette, because it's been such, I think, a big seller for them and a great holiday item. But look at those like multi-chromes, just really, really stunning. And the blush, I'll swatch that for you too. Whew, I went a little deep there because my hands are so dry now. But look at that. I use it as an eyeshadow. I kind of use it very lightly and paint my crease with it. but sheared out, that's also beautiful as an eyeshadow or a blush. And actually this color here, the lightest color, can also be used as a highlighter and works really well. So this, I think, is really stunning. And like I said, at times it's been #1, but it falls at #5 in the list. And I really love it. Lancome, the Adventures palette. So #4 on the list, again, could be higher, could be 5, just depends on the day. A lot of people bitch about, and I don't get it. I didn't expect it this year. I thought we may never get another one, and I'm so happy that we did. It's very unique and very different for the brand, but I really like it. And I know some people complain formulas are changing and that sort of thing, but at the end of the day, there is nothing, I don't care what brand it is, that beats opening up one of these palettes and using them. Best mattes, some of the best metallics, beautiful toppers. And so I say #4 is Petalmorphosis from Pat McGrath. I know, like Patty Alonso and Critical Beauty and some others, I think, have said that they struggled to come up with looks with this. I did too, but I did do a 5 looks 1 palette with it, and I've done a couple of looks since then, and I will tell you that it's intimidating at first, but when you really start to play with it, what it does is it forces you to get out of your comfort zone. It has the quad of their kind of astral shades. These are not baked like the old ones or that kind of baked formula, but they are still stunning. And there's this bonus one over here, which I think is really the star of the show, this iridescent purpley color. You've got more kind of purple, less pink in this palette, less gold. It's more purple, and we have something new from Pat McGrath, which is a dark green matte. Normally this is a brown or a red. So I'm just going to swatch a few of these for you just to show you. There is still nothing, and I get that people are upset that the palettes have changed or the formulas have changed, but there is still nothing like a Pat McGrath mothership. From the experience, the packaging, the quality, it's just really beautiful, and I really like this. I'm gonna swatch a few more because I think it's really unique. Let's see. It's just a really unique color story, and I got 5 really beautiful looks from it. You could wear this year round. I mean, look at the shine for all the complaining that people do. Do I miss the astral baked shades? Or I guess they're not baked, but people call them that. Yeah, I do. And I hope that they come back at some point. But these are so beautiful and refined and really elegant. I really like this. In fact, I'm going to grab this one too because I forgot about it and I really like it. Just a really beautiful palette, as all motherships are. Of course, you're going to have some that you like more than others. Is this going to be my favorite mothership? No. Is it in my top 5? Probably not. Is it in kind of the middle? Yeah, that it is. And that's saying a lot when you're talking about motherships, because I love my motherships more than anything else, palette-wise. And so I'm so thankful we got this. And please, Mother Pat, if you're listening, give us another one. We're ready for 13. Petalmorphosis at #4. #3 is my beautiful, what I would call boring ass quad of the year, the work quad, and it's what I have on my eyes today, and I really love it. I don't know that it necessarily translates that well on camera. It probably just looks like a pretty work look, but it's just really unique and really stunning, and I think it's the best one from this brand's launch this year. And so at #3 for the work one, the work palette, I would definitely recommend Nude Mirage from Louis Vuitton La Bouteille. This palette is really beautiful. It doesn't look like it's that exciting. It's got this kind of cream, this kind of soft goldy champagne, this stunning kind of red color, and a deep dark brown. You can get something that's very light if you really stick to these two, or you can get something much more dramatic if you stick to these two. I went more for the drama, but it is just a really, really beautiful quad. I realize that it's maybe not as exciting as some of the others that I've showed you, but it's just really beautiful. It works on so many levels. You can dress it up, you can dress it down, and I think for the Louis Vuitton quads this year, I really loved them all. I think they're really unique and they're a really beautiful formula. I know that people have lots of thoughts on them, but I think this is the finest one and it's my favorite. And so this is at number 3, and this is Nude Mirage. Okay, so we are up to our top 2, and I'm wondering if you've watched throughout the year, can you guess what they are? I think one of them you'll definitely know, because I think every creator in the world is going to have it in their top 5. But the other one might be a little bit of a surprise, I don't know. But we're up to our top 2, and these are exceptional palettes. At number 2, I don't know why counting is so hard for me today. We have Lightwork 7 from Danessa Myricks. This is Danessa Myricks' finest palette she's ever done. Her mattes in here are so beautiful, and this is the first Lightworks that included mattes. I really love this. You get 3 distinct color stories, although you can kind of cross between them. It works with the Pastel Dream palette. You can pop it in. It works with the Lightwork 6 that came out last year. They all have the same formula. They stack really nicely. You can travel with them. But this one I think is by far her finest, and it's because she included mattes. And I realize that that's not necessarily as exciting for some people, but she waited until the matte formula was just perfect. And these are beautiful, perfect blendable mattes. There's 5 in here, and then a ton of her duochrome, multi-chrome shades. I'm just gonna pull a few here because obviously I have lots of content if you want to look on this palette, because it really is stunning. But look at that. These are just so beautiful. These like molten, I mean, just really stunning. This is also, I think, maybe her most wearable of her Lightworks because of those mattes, but also there's some more like subtle or lighter shades in here. And so I really love this. I know it's going to be a lot of people's top 1 or 2. That is a gorgeous shade. I forgot about that one. There's so many gorgeous shades in here. Could easily be number 1, but today it's falling at number 2. But I think it's just one of the finest palettes that she's ever put out, if not the finest. And so this is really, really good. And there's so much content with this palette online. So between me and other creators, you can look and see all sorts of different looks you can get, from very dramatic to very quiet. Just spectacular from Danessa Myricks. Love her. Okay, we're up to number 1. Have you figured out what number 1 is? I should have started this by saying, can you put it down in the comments? Damn. Anyway, every time I wear this in a video, somebody asks what it is. Anytime I wear it out, somebody asks what it is. It breaks a lot of my rules. I normally like a matte in a palette, but this one, it's spectacular. And I have found myself, as you've probably noticed, with a few exceptions like the Chanel's, the Danessa, the Pat McGrath, gravitating to more like 6 pans and below. And I don't know why that is, but I've enjoyed these kind of more curated, smaller palettes. This palette is really spectacular, and I think it may surprise you. It surprised me. It knocked me over when I swatched this for the first time. It came out in Europe a little bit earlier than it did here. I remember Hand Beauty showing it off, and then when we finally got our hands on it, I was so pleasantly surprised. I know that it's mostly sold out now, but if you can still find it, it would make a beautiful holiday gift. But it is, can you guess? The Grand Miniature from Lancome. Again, as I said with the Adventures palette, I am not a huge fan of Lancome eyeshadows during the rest of the year, but these collaborations with Lisa Eldridge are spectacular. And this one has a feeling that it feels like they're all baked, but I know they're not. And it has a brown that can easily be worked out in the crease so that it's not so sparkly. And so that does help it with the fact that there's no matte in here. It also has those 2 lipsticks in it that I keep in with my lipsticks. Do I wish that they would have just done this as a 5-pan? Sure. It's a beautiful cool tone complement to the other Lancome holiday palette that came out. But this is so beautiful. I'm going to swatch it for you. It does have that kind of highlightery. It's definitely a palette that could be used all over the face. But the shades are so beautiful. They do feel baked. They feel really special and interesting. They're so shiny. And the brown, as I said, is another one of those cool tone gray browns. But the shades in here, I think, are just top notch and create such an interesting, beautiful look. I mean, look at that blue and that top kind of very light mauve shade. This can be used as a blush. This can be used as a highlighter. This works really beautiful by itself as a one and done. You can use it to really play up the blue, or you can play up the pink. This one really, really surprised me. I love the Lisa Eldridge holiday collections that come out with Lancome. This one is taking it to another level. It's just really beautiful. It's made it to where I don't even miss having a matte in here. It's so beautiful. And like I said, every time I do something with this palette, somebody says, "What is that on your eyes?" And it's just really, really stunning. And I think it's probably the best blue shadow of the year, the best mauve, probably the best brown of those like silvery brown ones. And then that other shadow that can also be used as a blush. I cannot rave enough about this. If you can get your hands on it, get it. I think it's a really beautiful palette. And you can imagine that this could also, it says it's a wintry palette, and it is, but you can imagine with some creativity, you could use this. This could be a springy palette too. I really love it. I actually love all of the palettes this year in my top 10 or 12 even. They're all really special and unique. And I think it's been a really good year for eyeshadows. We got a new mothership. We got a great Pat McGrath holiday palette. We got surprises from Chanel with pigment and color. We got great Lisa Eldridge. Natasha Denona, we need to think about color moving forward. And I've seen what's coming for spring. And again, it's not in that direction. Danessa Myricks, Louis Vuitton, a new brand on the market, really gorgeous. Victoria Beckham. It's been a good year for eyeshadows, and so I hope you've enjoyed this content and that you will like, subscribe, follow along, shop my links, and share me with others who might like this kind of content. 2025 was a good eyeshadow year. It didn't necessarily seem like that, but they came in fast and furious in the second half of the year. And any of these top 10, 12 would make beautiful gifts, and they're beautiful, beautiful palettes. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon. Bye.